Welcome to NFL Nexus, where we get into the real stories behind the game. And wow, have we got a story for you today. We are diving deep into a conflict that has become one of the most personal, most public feuds in the NFL in a long, long time. The absolute clash of titans between quarterback Russell Wilson and head coach Sean Payton. Now, this isn't just some sideline disagreement. Oh no. This is a story about two Super Bowl winners, two massive egos, and a partnership in Denver that was supposed to be a championship dream. But instead, it just completely crashed and burned for the whole world to see. And if you want to boil this whole thing down to its core, it's right here, in this one line from Russell Wilson on a recent podcast. Just don't disrespect me. I mean, it's such a simple phrase, right? But man, it carries the weight of an entire chaotic year. It's packed with all the public jabs, all the private tension. At its heart, this is a story about respect, it's about ego, and it's about what happens when a partnership between two of the biggest names in the sport just completely and totally implodes. So, let's break down exactly how we got to this point. All right, so the latest chapter in this whole drama, it didn't even happen on a football field. Nope, it happened in a podcast studio. For over a decade now, we've known Russell Wilson as this meticulously crafted public figure, right? Always amiable, kind of guarded, super polished. He was the Go Hawks guy, the guy with the big smile and the positive slogans. Well, on this day, he decided that he was done staying quiet, and he basically announced that that whole chapter of his career was officially over. I mean, when this statement came out, it was like a thunderclap in the NFL world. It was such a clear signal that, okay, the gloves are officially off. Russell Wilson is taking control of his own story now. But to really get why this moment was so huge, why it mattered so much, we've got to rewind. We have to go back to the beginning of a partnership that, believe it or not, was once filled with so much hope. Okay, let's set the scene. When the Denver Broncos traded a king's ransom for Russell Wilson and then turned around and gave up another massive haul for head coach Sean Payton, the expectations in Denver were through the roof. I mean, they were electric. And the logic, on paper, it seemed perfect, right? You combine the offensive genius of Sean Payton, the guy who built Drew Brees' legendary career, with a Super Bowl winning quarterback like Russ. It was supposed to be the move that would totally revitalize Wilson's career and make the Broncos immediate Super Bowl contenders. But the reality on the field? Well, it was a short and just incredibly rocky partnership. The offense, it never really found a rhythm. The play calling often felt like it was at odds with what Wilson does best, and you could just tell that the two alpha personalities were not meshing at all. It all ended in one of the most expensive divorces in NFL history. I mean, Denver had to swallow a record-shattering dead money cap hit just to release Wilson. He, of course, ended up with the Giants, and the Broncos turned the page completely by drafting their new guy, Bo Nix. And let's be super clear here, this tension didn't just pop up out of nowhere. It had been building and building long before the public feud exploded. There were reports about some serious conflict behind the scenes, but the biggest bombshell came from Wilson himself. He claimed that the Broncos organization basically gave him an ultimatum in the middle of the season. They said either you waive the injury guarantee in your giant contract, or we're putting you on the bench. Wow. That kind of move, it creates a level of mistrust that is almost impossible to bounce back from. So all that friction that was simmering under the surface for months, it finally just boiled over into this massive public spectacle. And the flashpoint, the moment it all went nuclear, was a game between Payton's Broncos and Wilson's new team, the New York Giants. The stage was set for a super dramatic reunion, and boy, it did not disappoint. So leading up to that game, the Giants had actually made a switch. They benched Russell Wilson for their rookie, Jackson Dart. After the Broncos barely, and I mean barely, won that game, Payton dropped this quote to the media. The implication here is just crystal clear, and frankly, it felt totally unnecessary. He's basically saying he was relieved his team didn't have to face the rookie, which implies that Wilson was the easier opponent. It was a direct, public shot at his old quarterback. Wilson's response came back, and it was fast, it was sharp, and it was deeply personal. He didn't go through an agent or wait for a friendly interview. No, he went straight to social media and called Payton classless. And then he took it to a whole other level. He brought up one of the darkest chapters in his former coach's career, and with that, he escalated this from a simple disagreement into a full-blown personal attack. Yeah, that bounty hunting comment, that wasn't just some random insult. It was a direct, calculated missile aimed right at Bountygate. You know, the infamous scandal where Saints players, under Payton's leadership, were paid bonuses to injure opposing players. That scandal got Payton suspended for an entire season, and it's still the single biggest stain on what is otherwise a Hall of Fame coaching career. For Wilson to bring that up, he was escalating this to the most personal level you can imagine. He went right for the jugular. So after some immediate backlash, Payton did try to walk his comments back. He claimed his words were just misinterpreted, that he was really just trying to praise the rookie, Jackson Dart, and that it wasn't a shot at Wilson at all. But, by then, the damage was done. The cat was out of the bag, a line had been crossed, and the story of a bitter, personal feud was locked in for everybody. This whole explosive situation really makes you ask the question, right? Is this a pattern for Russell Wilson? Is this kind of conflict just who he is? And while, yeah, it's true this isn't his first go-around clashing with a head coach, the way this conflict with Sean Payton played out, so public, so personal, is dramatically different from anything we have ever seen from him before.
Think about it. Wilson's strained relationship with Pete Carroll in Seattle, that was pretty well known, but it was a conflict that was really rooted in football philosophy. It was all about the let Russ cook debate, right? A power struggle over who should control the offense. But crucially, all those disagreements, they were mostly kept behind closed doors, and eventually the two of them kind of patched things up. This feud with Payton is a completely different animal. It is public, it's personal, and it's not about play calling. It's about a feeling of being disrespected.
So that brings us right back to the original question, why now? I mean, after more than a decade of carefully building this polished, squeaky clean image, why did Russell Wilson decide to fire back so publicly and so personally? Well, he actually explained his thinking on that same podcast. He broke down what finally led to that classless tweet. At the end of the day, Wilson explained his response as, well, just a human reaction. He said he was just tired. He was tired of the nonstop public commentary, tired of being a punching bag, and especially tired of it coming from a former coach who he felt really should know better. It's a good reminder, beneath the helmets and the huge contracts, these are still people. They hear the criticism, and sometimes they just hit a breaking point. Now this right here, this is the crucial part of his explanation. Wilson very deliberately puts himself on the same level as Sean Payton. He's not seeing himself as a subordinate. By bringing up their shared number of Super Bowl rings, one apiece, he's not just bragging, he's making a powerful statement. He's saying, hey, we've both reached the very top of this sport. We are equals. And from that position, he's arguing that the respect has to go both ways. He's like, listen, I respect you as a coach, but you're not going to take personal shots at me. So, from Wilson's point of view, this wasn't really about him starting a fight, it was about him finishing one. It was a calculated move, it was him drawing a very clear line in the sand. He was sending a message, not just to Payton but to the entire league, that the days of him just sitting back and quietly taking what he feels is public disrespect, those days are over. So, with all this bitter history as the backdrop, both of these guys are now on totally different paths. Each one is trying to build a future and define their own legacy, independent of the other guy. But let's be real, their careers are now going to be forever linked by this conflict, and their future successes, or their failures, are absolutely going to be viewed through the lens of this feud. Over in Denver, with Wilson gone, Sean Payton is in complete and total control. This is his team now. It's his culture, his system, and his hand-picked quarterback, Bo Nix. That whole experiment with a veteran superstar quarterback is done. Payton is rebuilding the Broncos in his own image. And whether he succeeds or fails, well, that's going to be the ultimate verdict on his side of this whole argument. And look, to prove that his decision to move on from Wilson was the right one, Payton knows he has to win. It's that simple, and that starts with making this offense better. An offense that finished as a pretty mediocre number 14 in scoring last season. The top priority is to get his rookie quarterback some weapons, take some of the pressure off. And reports are swirling that he's got his eyes on a huge free agent target to totally transform his running game. And that name is Seahawks running back and recent Super Bowl MVP, Kenneth Walker III. And in a pretty major development, it's now official. Walker is going to hit the open market. Landing a game-changing talent like him would be a massive step for Payton in proving that his vision for the Broncos, a vision that does not include Russell Wilson, is the right one. The analytics, they just confirm why Walker is such a hot commodity. His overall rushing grade, second best in the entire NFL, only behind Derrick Henry. But here's the key for a coach like Payton. It's his versatility. His elite grades in both gap and zone schemes mean he can perfectly execute pretty much anything a creative play caller like Sean Payton can dream up. He's a true plug-and-play superstar for these new-look Broncos. And in what is a huge piece of news for Denver's plans, the Seattle Seahawks decided not to use the franchise tag on Walker. This makes him a totally unrestricted free agent. It gives the Broncos a clear path to sign a guy who could instantly transform their offense and help Payton win the ultimate argument against his old quarterback where it matters most, on the field. Meanwhile, over in New York, Russell Wilson's journey is all about redemption. After that messy exit from Seattle and the complete disaster in Denver, his time with the Giants is about proving to the world, and you've got to think proving to himself, that he is still that elite Super Bowl caliber quarterback he used to be. This is his chance to rewrite the final chapters of his career, but this time on his own terms. And all of this, it leaves us with one final lingering question that is probably going to take years to answer. When we look back on this whole saga, who will it define more? Will this be remembered as the moment Russell Wilson's Hall of Fame career started to go off the rails? Or will it be a chapter in Sean Payton's legacy where, yeah, he won a power struggle, but maybe lost something more in the process? So what do you guys think? Who comes out of this whole thing looking worse, Wilson or Payton? Let us know your take in the comments below. I promise we read every single one. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, do us a huge favor and hit that subscribe button for NFL Nexus and give this explainer a like. It is seriously the best way to support the channel, and it helps us make more deep dives just like this one. And one last thing before you go, to help support the work we do here, you should definitely consider checking out our brand new NFL-themed coloring books. Seriously, they're perfect for fans of any age, for your kids, grandkids, or hey, even for yourself. You can find the link right down in the description or just scan the QR code on your screen. Thanks so much for watching.